Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got some more mock draft videos for you guys this upcoming redraft season. We are talking the 106 position. Again, this is for full PPR and half PPR in a 12-man league. If it is Superflex or tight end premium, obviously this draft would be different. Of course, you can always ask in the comments down below if you have a question of who you should be drafting. No matter what round it is, we'll be able to try to help give you guys some advice and give you some recommendations. Now we're going to jump right into this. All right, as you can see, we are in the 106 spot. Again, this is a spot, these particular spots are a little bit tough in a 12-man league, I find, at least lately I've been finding. So we're going to jump right into this. We're going to see what players you're going to go after. Again, in a full PPR or even half PPR, your chances of change drastically. Most of the time, you'll see a lot of running backs go in a standard league, but if PPR, you're going to see some changes here. Now, this is kind of the first time I've seen Eckler get this early, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think Eckler, as long as he can perform like he has been, he should be a top 5 back, especially in PPR. Justin Jefferson's been consistently number 1 in almost every case, and there's nothing wrong with that. Hill's a little high for me. I think I would take him a little bit later, but again, nothing there that I would say, oh, nope, not doing that. So in the 106 spot, I'm looking between a wide receiver, obviously a dominant wide receiver, or a possible running back. I think it's a little too early for Bijan. I think it's a little too early Travis Kelce. So I'm actually going to take and go after Cooper Kupp, because if he could stay healthy, he was on pace to be the wide receiver 1 last season because of how many targets and throws he was receiving from Matthew Stafford. As long as that continues, this is not a bad pick at all. And again, we're hoping injury bug does stay away from him. So with that said, you obviously see Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce right after my pick. No surprise there. And then Bijan's really creeping up. And I'll have my running back rankings out for you guys shortly. So again, make sure you guys pay attention to that, and I'll give you guys some 2 cents in there. Now, looking at what I've got here, we've got Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. With the news of going on with Josh Jacobs being out, holding out for his team, Jonathan Taylor pretty much combatant and going against his owner. There's just right now, there's no clarity. There's nothing that is going to say, hey, I need to draft one of these guys in the second round or even first round. So with that said, it has changed a little bit. So I'm actually going to go Garrett Wilson. So I've got Garrett Wilson and Cooper Kupp. I would like to get a solid running back because I like that heavy balance. But in this particular spot, I'm not reaching for Pollard, even though I think he could finish top 5. I'm going to actually go and get Garrett Wilson. Now, on the swing around, I can get Ramondre Stevenson, Devonta Smith, get another really good receiver, maybe Lamar Jackson, Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs. I know Jahmyr Gibbs is somebody that a lot of people really like. Kenneth Walker, another one. I'm actually going to go and stretch out and grab Travis Etienne. A lot of you guys have been just going after me about it. I'm not crazy about Etienne. I think Najee would probably be the better bet there. I know a lot of people are kind of uncertain with how inefficient he is, but I think Najee would be a better bet. But again, this isn't a bad pick at all because, again, if he shines in the passing game and can do what he's naturally able to do, I think that's a good pick. Now, I would have loved to have gotten maybe a Fields or Lamar Jackson in this particular spot, but because they didn't fall to me here, I'm not going to go after Justin Herbert. I'm going to look at either filling another wide receiver, maybe another running back, or maybe a tight end, like a top tier tight end. I'm actually going to go Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon would be a good mix here. I don't have a problem with getting him at the 4th round because he is the RB1 for this high octane offense, and he's going to be able to get me in the top 10 part. So again, Mixon in round 4, absolute steal for me. I think it's well worth it. Now here, I'm going to actually go Kyle Pitts and get my tight end because I think Kyle Pitts is still going to be a really good tight end even going into the season. I know he burned a lot of people just like me. I understand it, but I think Kyle Pitts is going to be in a particular spot in the 5th round, could be a top 2 tight end if he really does do well. Mind you, Ritter is not expected to throw a lot. That may surprise, maybe later on in the season he does, but at the beginning, I could see where they're only doing 18 to 20 attempts, which will limit the chances for Kyle Pitts, but I still think he's a great tight end, especially in Dynasty. He should be your top 2, but I like him in this particular spot. With that said, now we've got no quarterback, we've got no flex, and we've obviously got to fill out our bench. You should always draft, realistically, the best player, even if you need to fill a particular position. Don't necessarily stretch for that. So for me, if I'm looking at what I've got here, I got Brandon Ayuk, who was fantastic last season. Tyler Lockett did really well. Rachaad White actually has potential to do really well this season. James Conner is the RB1 in this really poor Cardinals offense, so I'm not crazy about that. For me, I actually am going to go Brandon Ayuk because I think he was only going to continue to get better. He has a great relationship with Brock Purdy, who is expected to be the starter at this particular moment. So there's nothing wrong with Brandon Ayuk. If Deebo Samuel does perform well, it only helps Brandon Ayuk as well, even though Deebo kind of struggled last season. So looking at this, I've got Jackson Smith-Njigba, who I think is actually a really good pickup. I think he could shine really well. I'm actually going to go George Pickens, get another really good wide receiver, because I think George Pickens is going to really shine. I know Deontay Johnson's there. I like him as well. Nothing wrong with that. You could go either one, because I think they're both going to do really well in the Steelers offense. But I'm going to go Pickens instead, and I think his big play ability is where I'm going to really kind of help him stand out. So looking at this, I could go backup tight end, maybe Evan Ingram, stuff like that. I'm not really crazy about that. I actually like grabbing Tua in this particular spot, because I think if this offense can replicate what they did last season, Tua can be a top 10 quarterback, potentially a top 5 if he does stay healthy. And again, this offense stays as fluent and as efficient as they did last season. There are some rumblings right now in camp that they're a little off. It's camp. This is the point. They're trying to get better. That's their whole mantra. So I'm looking at, again, filling out my team, best player in this particular spot. I could go Zay Flowers, who I think is going to be really good this season as well. I like this pickup that the Ravens did. You could go Khalil Herbert. Nice little backup to Deontay Foreman, because yes, Deontay Foreman is expected to be the starter. But I'm actually going to go Brian Robinson, even though Antonio Gibson has the potential to be an absolute PPR stud. He showed flashes last season really well. But I like Brian Robinson because he is their running back, I would say the first 2 downs, maybe third down, depending on what happens, and a lot of their goal line work. So I'm going to take Brian Robinson as a nice little pickup. Looking at what I've got left, I've got Dalton Schultz as a nice little backup here. I could go and grab Alan Lazard, who I thought has a really good potential in this upcoming season. And then obviously, again, Damian Harris, who I think is going to be a touchdown stud. For me, I'm actually going to grab Alan Lazard. I think with him and Aaron Rodgers for this offense, opposite of Garrett Wilson, even though I have Garrett Wilson, I think it's actually going to be, I think Lazard's going to play really well. That offense can really put up a lot of points. Well, the expectation. So I actually don't mind that at all. Now I'm going to fill up. I've got 3 more spots plus kicker. You guys know me. I don't pick the kicker yet. Looking at what I've got here as far as what I could grab, I'm actually going to go Tyler Algier. I'm hoping, obviously, Bijan Robinson stays healthy. If for any reason something were to happen, or the Atlanta Falcons do tend to run the ball a lot, because that's the expectation, Tyler Algier is a potential 1,000-yard back if he has to really step up. So I don't mind grabbing him as a nice little flex, maybe a nice little handcuff, or again, if something were to ever happen. Even though I don't have Bijan, I still think Algier is a good little pickup for me. Looking at the rest of this, really ADP here, you've got maybe Tank Bigsby, who I think is going to be a really good one. I don't know if I want to grab Bigsby with Etienne, but he's a nice little handcuff, and that might be something I might consider. I like Rashee Rice. I like, obviously, Russell Wilson as a nice little backup quarterback to Tua. I would like to hopefully hold on to that, maybe grab him a little bit later, but I think I'm going to have to grab Russell Wilson to kind of fill my backup for Tua, just because I don't know if I'll get him on the swing. Do I necessarily need to grab Wilson? No. But the reason why I'm going to grab Wilson is because there's a potential, if he does do really well in this offense and really turns into the danger Russ that we're all used to, he can actually be one that I might end up starting every single week. And I grabbed him at a nice little late piece. So I've got 2 more spots left. I've got obviously a nice little bench, and then of course the kicker. And here I'm looking at what I could possibly grab. I'm actually looking at Nico Collins. I think he's going to do fairly well for the Texans. He looks really good in camp. Again, expected to be the wide receiver 1-2. We'll see. Nothing's really been released yet, but I do like him there. So I'll grab Nico Collins in that. And now I've got to grab my kicker. And looking at kickers, I'm going to go and get Koo. So I think Koo is going to be a great particular kicker. He's done really well last season. He does really well for the Falcons. He's very accurate, great leg. So I'm going to grab him there. So that is the mock draft for the 106. If you guys have any questions of, again, particular players you're trying to go after or who you should grab, since you already probably know where you're picking, let us know in the comments. If you guys liked this team, maybe you guys have the possible players I should have grabbed, again, hit me in the comments down below. Make sure you check out our other mock draft videos. Also, check out our ranking videos. We'll be dropping those. And if you are in Dynasty, again, we've got plenty of Dynasty content for you guys. If you guys did enjoy the content, make sure you guys are subscribed and that notification bell is on. Don't forget to like the button. All right, make sure you hit it. All right, and I'll check you guys out next time.